So, I'm feeling a bit better, which is good. Um, what was I going to talk about? Yeah, no. I've been doing a lot of reflection. Ugh, that horrible parting. It happens whenever my hair gets too long. It like parts in a weird way, and it's really greasy, so I apologise. But no, I've been reflecting on a book recently which kind of shaped the way I see the world quite a bit. And that book is A Scanner Darkly by Philip K. Dick. And it's about this guy called Bob Arctor. Yeah, that is his name, isn't it? Bob Arctor. And 2 seconds. Yeah, no, I did get it right. It is Bob Arctor, where he's both the undercover agent investigating this drug called Substance D, and he's also a drug addict who lives in this house that he once had a family in, but then he got like bored, he got bored of the family, and so he like blew his whole life up, got addicted to drugs, started being like an undercover agent and shit. He's got like an underage, is it implied that it's, I'm going off memory, I think she's like underage girlfriend called like Donna Hawthorne. And there's all of these characters around, and I think the reason why that book influenced me so much is because it gave me a look into a world which was it was like a caricature of the world I was already in. I was around a lot of people and a lot of substances, a lot of unique people, and I didn't really know how to navigate that. I felt like an alien, but at the same time I felt all together at home. And I suppose that book really sort of put it into perspective. Not only that, but I also experienced like a similar vibe to that book while I was at uni as well. I was around all of these like artistic burnouts who, I'd go on like wild adventures with, like, okay, like, this is going a bit off topic, but like, it's eerily, I had an experience eerily similar to a scene in the book where James Barris, like Jimmy Barris, like brings home a bike, and they like argue about how many gears it is. But like, I had a friend, no longer my friend, while I was at uni, and he brought back a bike one day, and I was like, where the hell did you get that? And he said, oh, I just found it on the street. It was just kind of there. Nobody had it. There was no lock on it, so I took it. And it's this old looking bike. And I was like, I have no idea, what to say. Because I'm like, it's either a bike somebody abandoned or he stole it. And so what happens like the next day is we go to his place. I'm with like another really artistic non-binary person and their friend and somebody else, and no, there's somebody else, like we ended up all doing like ketamine, and somebody else, this like dude with like a skateboard comes in completely. I didn't know. I learned his name like when he came to party, basically. And then at the end of the night, the bike friend, I'll nickname him Jerry Fabin, or I'll just call him Fabian, because yeah, I'll get to that. Gives him the bike, and then he leaves on it. He goes home with the bike, and I was like, damn, that was like so A Scanner Darkly, you know. And yeah, you encounter those kind of people. The Fabian friend, he like burnt himself, like burnt his brains because he did too much acid, and yeah, he went doolally, and the reason I compared him to Jerry Fabian is because he did become delusional. He believed he was like Hitler and Jesus in one person, and shit like that, and that he was like communing with some sort of strange spirit. And he was always carrying knives around and shit. And there's this one time where he took like tons of mushrooms, put a knife on his hip, and he said, "Let's go into town." And I was like, oh my god, if this guy has like a freak out, I'm gonna have to like calm him down. And he's got this like massive fuck off hunting knife on his hip, you know, and I was shitting it the whole time, you know. I was like, fuck, does people know he's high? Because I was sober, and like I was like, oh my god, the paranoia, like the Philip, it was like being in the Scanner Darkly again. It was like the Philip K. Dick paranoia of, oh my god, like what the fuck's going on, you know. And that book sort of made me go into that world, and it sort of contextualized the world I was in as well, I'd say. Also like the archetypes of people, like, I know, I've known an Ernie Luckman. I've got the characters here, because the names are hard to conjure sometimes from books. Ernie Luckmans and Robert Frex, who are just kind of relatively chill people who don't really get involved in much. You know, they're just like vibey. And you get your like James Barrises and your Jerry Fabians who get really deep into the shit and they end up burning themselves out. Bob Arctor, I don't know. He's just kind of like the passive dude. He doesn't really... He's kind of alienated from everything. I'd say I've always been kind of a mixture between James Barris and Bob Arctor. I've always been this, like, character where I'm alienated and burnt out. At the same time, I try and make out that I'm not burnt out and that I'm this, like, smart person when I'm not really that intelligent, I don't think. People have told me, oh, you're really smart. And it's like, well, no, I'm not really smart. Like, I've read a few good books and I probably have a few, like, esoteric idea or concept webs memorized in my head. And I can identify things in the world, but I'm not, like, extremely intellectual, you know. I just kind of get the gist of a lot of things. I suppose that's how I'd describe it. What else do I want to say about Scanner Darkly? It has this atmosphere because all of the characters are in their 30s. Most of them are. And like, it's like the suspended adolescence, in society's eyes at least. That's what I think a lot of like Denpers and a lot of NEETs tend to deal with that, because like, we aren't getting married or having kids or doing any of the things we should be doing. We're kind of just like hanging out and doing our own thing, and that's what these people are doing. Like, they're all living in the same house. They all work like shitty jobs. I think the job of Bob Arctor is like postage stamp dyeing or something. like making postage stamps and shit. As well as like the undercover agent thing, and like they're all like working these like shitty little jobs to feed their habit, and they're all living in this like house, and they shoot the shit over smoking weed and stuff. Like, as soon as I read the conversation in the book about the giant hash man, like, I knew that this was written by like a stoner, because that's just kind of the conversations you have when you're hanging out like that. I'm just scatterbrained because it's like in the evening again, and there's like noises going on. What else would I say? It helped me to embrace the chaos of life, because I know that like adventures. I think Dripping Ooze said this about a video in one of his remix videos. He talked about how he had periods of like intense adventure and periods of like isolation. I'd say A Scanner Darkly helped me to embrace the chaotic period. Just say, fuck it, I guess I'll go on this adventure. Because I have the opportunity to, and it'll probably enrich my life in some unique way, you know? Even if it might be like damaging to the ego or the body or whatever. Like, scars imply experience, I guess. That's how I'd put it. Scars imply experience. Sorry, it's still a bit congested. Hopefully, I'll be back to normal quite soon. I've got a nose ring in as well. I kind of just shoved it in there. It hurt like hell because it hadn't had a ring in it for a while. And yeah, my hair's really greasy, and I'm wearing a Smith's t-shirt, and my room's a bit of a mess, but that's kind of just the way it goes. Is there anything else to add to this vlog? I don't know. When it comes to like the Scanner Darkly film, I don't like it. Ernie Luckman isn't as buff as he's supposed to be. James Barris, he doesn't have a beard in the film. Bob Arctor, I don't know. I think it's because it's just a 2000s-ified film when the original was like set in the 70s and that, or the 80s. I can't remember. Like I said, I'm doing this mostly off of memory. But no, I think I'm going to title this something about like A Scanner Darkly, the archetypes, and how it has influenced me or something. Something like that. But yeah, I think I accidentally modelled myself after like Bob Arctor and James Barris from that book. I don't know. I think like my aesthetic just like bleeds those two characters sometimes, and my behaviour as well. Except, you know, I don't, you know, I don't come up with these convoluted like plans that, you know, Jim Barris does. Yeah, this is just a ramble, and I'm being really spacey. I tend to be quite spacey, if you haven't noticed that in my videos already. Because, I don't know, like, my brain is just, like, a place where, like, how do you put it? I wouldn't say I'm a big thinker. I would say I just kind of have, like, a very abstract headspace. But when it comes to putting it into, like, a concrete form, I find it difficult to, like, you know, focus in and then express. But I've heard that's quite common, so I don't know. I don't know what this is. I guess I'll just stop recording now.